But either way, we have Dan here, and we're going to talk about Dan things. So here's the earliest you'll ever get to the DLC. Dan, take it away.
Well, this week at the DLC, which would be data loading computers. So the DLC.
Okay.
We have in the news was a lot of issues as far as with the school shooting that happened in Florida, and everybody coming up with ideas and possible solutions, and basically trying to get them advertised as possible like fixes or regulations. And I know one of the more important things that is being advertised is Trump finally came forward and said that they're going to start implementing concealed carries for teachers, for trying to help protect students if somebody were to bring in a gun.
Right.
I mean, my opinion for this would probably be that you shouldn't have to arm every single teacher in a school. I know majority of schools, they have security guards on staff, and it's their job and their training and everything is already implemented for them to be able to counter a possible conflict with whether it be a school shooting or a bomb threat. So as far as arming all your teachers and giving them weapons, you're going to open up a Pandora's box of possible other things as far as an angry student or a teacher misreading a situation and enforcing force, or misunderstandings of like threats, and that's going to be all over the place. But yeah, I think that if your school is bad enough where you need to start arming your teachers, or you're that scared, there's other solutions such as like metal detectors, or beefing up staff for your security guards, or if you don't have a security guard at all, hiring a security guard. So I mean, I think right now a big trending topic for 2018 is the memes after stuff. And I know I found a couple of funny ones. It's always like, "Oh, Jimmy, I thought I told you to spit your gum out." So you don't know. There's so many students, so many schools, so many teachers, and not every school is a threat. Like, I mean, if you were to be, say, Chicago, for example, a CPS school as a higher threat of a weapon being brought to school compared to a suburban school. But
I like this because now we can actually get cultural about this. So a lot of the times when we're seeing like the school shootings and stuff, it's usually in like some little suburban school or whatever. It's a grade school. It probably, the things that I noticed, because I used to live in Arkansas when I was in grade school, all of the schools over there, they're secluded. So they're not surrounded by like the city like that. You know, they're like deep within a residential block. And, you know, if you just look at a lot of grade schools that aren't really in the city like that, when they're in the suburbs, they're in a secluded area. So they're really not close to like police stations, anything like that. But like even in Chicago, you know, all these schools are right there in front of you. And, you know, people, you know, it's understanding how Chicago is. So we have security guards and stuff like that. Even at the school that I work at, because I work at a school. We have TF North, TF South in the center, and TF North, TF South, they have, that's in the suburbs. It's not a great suburb, but they have, police officers literally duty in the building, you know, so, and that's, you know, for whatever reason, that it is what it is. And also the fact that the high school's not, you know, 5 miles away from the police station or from the fire station. It seems like those are kind of issues that, you know, people run into. But on the flip side of that, like for teachers being armed in the city, I work at a alternative school just about, and the kinds of kids you get in there, you get a lot of gang violence, you know. So if you're dealing with, you know, these serious ass gangs or whatever, and you got a 16-year-old deep within that shit, and, you know, they bring up some bullshit in the school, and you got folks coming in taking shit over. I mean, we've never seen this before, but what's to stop that from happening? So, I mean, on that end, I can kind of understand that shit. There's kids that bring in, we've caught plenty of kids coming in with weapons, like from knives to guns and all types of shit. And then even stuff that we haven't found, you know, we got, you know, there's certain things that you have to be able to take into account as far as what kind of school it is. I would think, because don't schools in like the country, aren't their teachers armed for, like, when they have like animals and
not
shit
really.
like that?
They have they like tranquilizers as far as like in the wilderness, like
Yeah.
in the boonies, but
Super boonies.
yeah, but mostly out there it's everybody's pro gun, so most people have their typical go to your pickup truck and pull your shotgun out because everybody's hunting, or they'll have it on them for after school. So you don't have problems where, as far as like a more suburban school, yeah, they don't really want the weapons in that community. So if you have an instance as far as a school shooting, then you are really at the how fast can like police respond, or SWAT, or who is a concealed carry. And I know in Chicago downtown, concealed carry doesn't really mean anything. It's mostly like the Springfield area, the Urbana, the cornfields, as I call
the Urbana area.
So because like downtown, like you're saying, it could be misinterpreted, whereas if someone pulls out a gun, it could be thought of in a bunch of different ways, of someone reacting bad, someone's like they're not even thinking and then they retaliate or something. I know we just had a big story recently where a off-duty cop was he had his gun with him concealed, and then there was like a huge heist, basically. It was like Grand Theft Auto style, and the dude was running around running and gunning, and like fortunately the cop had a gun. He passed away in the instance, but he stopped the guy before he was able to make the matter worse. And like there's a couple stories out there where it's like that, and I feel like that's where a gray area is between anti-gun and pro-gun, where like pro-guns are like, well, if everybody has a gun, then you can stop the bad people, whereas the anti-gun is like, well, if anybody can get a gun, then that means bad people can get a gun. So you have like this weird area where nobody really knows what to do in that situation, and that's why there's so much conflict. I mean, for me, I'm pro-gun, but I'm also pro-regulation. Like Illinois has regulations, and not that many people know about it because they haven't done the research. And I know I wouldn't mind if everybody had to do it, or if I had to go through a stricter process, because I'm a law-abiding citizen, and I'm not going to go through this whole process in order for me to legally be able to walk into a movie theater or whatever it is. So anything to make it safe, and I don't like people that try to talk without having research knowledge, with like arguing without emotion, because there's a lot of crazy people out there that don't really have a say and are coming up with like these ludicrous ideas. But in our generation, everybody's right. Yeah. So
I mean, and even with that though, like on the other end of that, just with Chicago being the way it is, like you can understand why people are very passionate about really not having any guns at all. Well, I think we had a debate about this last week before we started the show, and I think like really what it came down to was like, people can have guns, but the thing is, you have to have responsible people with those guns,
and the method is to make those people responsible.
Exactly. So when people, they're fighting on, the farthest ends of each argument, when people are saying there should be no guns at all, no one should have guns, government shouldn't have guns, it's like, that's stupid. And at the same time, it's like, oh, everyone should have guns, 13-year-olds should have guns, that's stupid. So
what's actually funny is I just bought Grand Theft Auto 5. I had it for PlayStation 3, sold it when I got my PlayStation 4, and then I decided to get it again. So they got me. But anyway, on one of the radio channels that I was driving around, there actually had a bit about mandatory concealed carry. Basically, everybody needs to have a weapon.
Maybe having those little dumbass commercials.
And it was interesting because it was like, I don't know if there's a feature in the game where it pulls off stuff, or if they update those things. But I mean, Grand Theft Auto came out how long ago?
So long ago.
And like this was current. Like this is like I just
gotta look into that actually. That's that because they do kind of be on that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So but yeah, it's just interesting how much of a like topic this is, whether it is from police brutality, whether it is from gang violence, whether it is from school shooting and public safety, whether it is for like hunting regulations. Like guns are a part of our society, and they're not going to go anywhere, I believe, anytime soon. But rules do need to be implemented, just like everything else. As far as like airplanes, people will say now they have security, you have security after this, and then you have like at sporting events and movie theaters, now there's countermeasures because of events. Like, stuff needs to start being implemented as far as regulations. But like what you're saying, the extremes of no guns or all guns, like that's not feasible.
And on top of that, you know, having these regulations, they're not just there. Like, people really need to just shut the hell up. And if we're having regulations, have the fucking regulations. Like, if you're not trying to kill people, it shouldn't matter. So, you know, like, there's clearly people are dying from people abusing the usage of guns. So if you're not a damn monster, just shut up and wait an extra month for your background check. You know, like, come on, dude. No, you can't have your rifle in the bank. We're sorry. Like, come on.
So, I mean, it's interesting to see where it'll go, what changes are actually put in. I know now, actually, as far as my understanding, this is going to be the most federal push for regulations. Before, it's always been state-based. So I know everybody's all over Trump about he was the one that repealed the Obama-era regulations as far as background checks. But, you know, he's implementing basically the same laws, but more hell-bent towards mental illness, which... I honestly think there's a method to his madness of trying to get better solutions towards mental illness, not just for guns, but for America as a whole, whether it be addiction or bipolar or suicide. So, I mean, it'll be interesting. I know.
Dan, are you praising Donald Trump?
I'm not praising Donald Trump, but I mean, it's he gets such a bad rap, and he's making efforts, and what I don't understand is people want something done, but then when something's done and it's not what they want, it's still bad. Or if something is done, it's like, oh, he should have done this. It's like, people aren't understanding, like, we went from nothing to now something. Like, you can't move a mountain in a day. Like, so that's all I have.
That's
for
mature,
the DLC.
That's mature. All right, y'all, we'll be back with some